Hi folks, my name is Mr. Kuchak and I am your art teacher. Before we begin, let me go over our class rules. We have 3 rules at Elk Lake. Be ready, be responsible, be respectful. We are ready in the art room when we come in, sit in our assigned seats, and get quiet so that we can learn about art. We are responsible in the art room when we follow directions and take care of our supplies, and we clean up any of our messes. We are respectful when we use kind words like please and thank you, and when we value other students' artwork. Supplies you will need for today's lesson. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Move the camera so that you can see my paper. I will continue talking and you can just follow along. Hi folks, today we are going to go over how to paint. And the paint that we're using today is Tempera paint. Tempera paint is a very washable paint. I like to use the VersaTemp. And it's made by the Saks company, S-A-X. Now, today we are going to only use 2 colors. The colors that we're going to use are red and yellow. Red and yellow, when we mix them together, are going to give us orange. Now, if we use a little bit of red with a lot of yellow, we'll have more of a yellow-orange. If we use a lot of red with a little bit of yellow, we'll have red-orange. So the colors that we're using will mix into a 3rd color for us. We don't want to use all the colors or opposite colors because those will turn into a muddy brown if we mix them together. Now, the other thing you want to remember is with your paintbrush, we have the top. I always think of that as like the hair of the paintbrush. We also have the ferrule. The ferrule is what's going to connect the bristles, the hair of the brush into the handle. And the handle is held a lot like a pencil. So this one has a little grip in there that you can actually hold and be able to use. Now with my colors, whenever I start painting, I think of which one is going to get mixed up first. And the yellow here is a very, very fast mixer. So this one will get used up really, really quick. So I want to make sure that I use my yellow first, because if I go into red and then try to paint anything yellow, it's going to turn into orange. So the first thing I want you to realize is we want to keep the paint on the bristles, the hair of the brush. We don't want it down here. Also, when we're painting, we don't want to hold it way down here because then we're going to get paint all over us. Now, let's say I want to make a sun up here. One of the easiest ways to do that is take your brush, push it down, and twist. So if you twist, it will give you a nice complete circle. Now, let's put in some mountains. So I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to come up and down, and I'm going to come up and down. Now you can do rolly mountains, you could do pointed mountains, you can do whatever type of mountains you want. And then I'm just going to clean my brush off, and I'm just going to fill in the spots that I have. So now I have my mountains, and then I want to put a tree right here in the middle. Think of a tree as the letter Y. So I'm going to start with my brush. I'm going to press down so it's nice and big, and then as I come up, I'm going to get lighter and lighter and lighter, lighter with the brush. So that's one part of the Y. So I'm going to start here as I'm going to press, and I'm going to come up, and I'm going to get lighter, 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 lighter. And that way I have my first Y. Now the tree is really just a whole bunch of Ys. So you just come up, Y, 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 Y. You can do smaller ones, you can have smaller ones come off, Y, 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 and then you have all of your branches. The last thing that I want to do here is down here at the bottom, I want to put the center of some flowers in there. So I'm going to press and twirl, press and twirl, press and twirl, press and twirl. Now that I have my flowers in place, I'm going to come up here to the top of the tree, and I want to start putting the leaves in. So what I'm going to do is, actually, you know what, let's wait for 1 second because I can show you a trick with having 2 different color paints on your brush. So since I have yellow in here, I don't want to clean my brush off, so I'm just going to put a little bit of red right into the top. So now I have red and yellow on the same brush, and I'm going to actually do what's called stamping. Let me move my paper up a little bit so you can see it. With the stamping, I'm going to take the flat part of the brush and I'm going to push it down. And what that'll do is that will give you your flower petals. So that's an easy way to add in some petals. Now you can also turn the brush sideways and you could have smaller ones. By just stamping your brush down, just pushing the brush down onto the paper. You could do a combination. You could do big ones. And you can see why I didn't take all that paint off my brush, because it gives me a cool little pattern where I have the red and then I have the orange mix and then I have the yellow towards the bottom. Now some people will say, well, I want to paint my own petals in, and that's fine too. So if you want to paint your own petals, you can just go right around and paint your own petals in too. But stamping is an easy way to make them all like the same size, the same consistency. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a little bit of red on my brush, and I'm just going to come down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up, down, up, up. That way I have the stems on there. Now, my hills here. I have a little problem here where the hills are blending into the tree. So we can make our hills a little bit more orange. So I'm going to take a little bit of red, a tiny little bit of red, and I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to mix it into my yellow. You can see I haven't had to wash my brush once because I just keep building on those colors. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to go right over my hill and I'm going to follow where that tree is. I don't want to go on top of the tree because I want the tree to look like it's closer. And then I'll go inside and I'll just paint it back and forth nice and smooth. Now if you want to make your hills look a little bit rockier, so let me just get that outline. And what I do a lot too is you'll see me flipping my brush, because sometimes when we paint we push all the paint to one side, and if we flip it around we have all that paint still. Now if you want to make your hills look rockier, go straight up and down. It'll look like there's some rocks and it'll look like there's some sharper hills in there, or you can make it nice and smooth like it's covered in trees. Now the top part, where we put the flowers, or where we put the leaves. So I'm going to do something called stippling. Stippling is when we take our brush, we put some paint on it, and we hold it straight up and down. And we dot, dot, not a lot. So I'm just tapping gentle. I'm not smashing the brush down. I'm just doing this really light. And what that will do is that will give me my leaves. So I go right over the branches, because the branches will sometimes show through, sometimes they won't. I'll pick up some of that yellow-orange mix that I had and go in there, so then I have leaves of different colors. I have some darker leaves, I have some lighter leaves. And this way I can make a nice fall-looking tree. I can go in with a little bit more red. And I can tap those right inside there. And I can pick up a little bit more. Now what's nice about that is there's the leaves of the tree, and down here, let's say we want to do some, like say, blueberry bushes or something like that. We could always just tap down here for some bushes. So this is a great way to just add a little bit more to your picture by simply just tapping your brush down. It just changes up how it looks a little bit. If you need some grass, just press up and you can have some grass growing in your picture too. And you can see I didn't paint the whole picture because I eventually need to move this, so I'm leaving some space on the sides. You don't have to paint every square inch of the paper and go onto the table and get stuff everywhere. If this paint dries, that's fine. I can make it into other stuff. So maybe I make it into fluffy clouds. So I'm just going to come around and as I paint, I'm just going to think, okay, how do I make it fluffy? And I'm just going to go around and make it fluffy, fluffy, fluffy. Maybe I'll come in, add some more grass, add some different colored grass. Maybe I'll add some different color to there, a little bit of color there, a little bit of color there. Maybe I'll add some red into my hills to make it look like there are some bigger things on the hills. And that way I have my paint, it'll dry without cracking, and I can still move my paper. So that is painting with red and red and yellow give us our orange. So if you have red and yellow at home, they're great colors to use together because you will make a third color. So it's almost like you're a scientist mixing up brand new colors. It just depends on how much red, how much yellow you use. So if you have your paint, I would go ahead and try that. Try the stippling, try the push and twist, and even try the stamping. That way you might be able to make a really, really, really cool picture just by using those techniques. But go ahead, paint what you want. You don't have to paint a tree. You can paint whatever you would like. Can't wait to see it. Have a great day, folks.